I'm going to let you in on a little something. I am a huge Zelda fan. I have loved the series ever since I played Ocarina of Time. So when I heard of a little item that was coming out and it was going to be available like online and whatnot, I had to pick it up. And that little item, if you haven't guessed already from the title, that's the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia. I have been looking forward to this little gem for quite a while, and I was actually really surprised looking at how it looks. First off, let me talk about, the sort of look of the book. It's green and it has a lot of gold, gold in it, so I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that it's, it's nice and sort of thick. It's like a proper book, which it really should be. This has been published by Dark Horse Books, right? And nothing sort of wrong with that. They've published a lot of big fan-based kind of stuff before. But I just love the fact of how good this is. Also, it's actually quite heavy as well. So already you feel as though you get your money's worth. Now this is kind of split into three sort of main chapters. The first chapter is basically all about Skyward Sword, and this is probably the chapter I felt they really could have not put in. They really should have put in more kind of like the history of like Zelda, like how they came about into making this series, and then what spawned off the ideas that they were making for each game. All that kind of stuff, instead of just dedicating a whole chapter to Skyward. Because the thing is, if some people out there that don't really like Skyward Sword, they're not going to really like this chapter, so already it's a bit of a downer. Fortunately for me, I love it, and while it was pretty good, and there was some good concept art there, but to be fair though, it wasn't what I was kind of expecting, and I thought there'd be a little bit more sort of to it. But everyone came to this for one reason, and that is, if I can actually get to the page. Hang on a minute. Such a big book. I have not bookmarked it at all. Very, very professional. I think I'm almost there. For Christ's sakes. Is the official timeline. Yeah, the official timeline. Obviously, when Nintendo released this, a lot of controversy kind of spanned from it. But the thing is, though, when I was kind of looking through it, I read a couple of things, and they were legitimately give a good reason for the reason of the link up and whatnot. And I always felt like the third timeline they added, like everyone expected it to be a split timeline, never expected it to be a sort of split three-way timeline. But I kind of think what they did with like the Hero Fallen timeline is they basically made it kind of more for those who were fans of Zelda since the beginning, right? So this is kind of like, if you were the true fan, this is how they've placed those games, and it's probably the way people have placed the games beforehand. And then the third chapter is kind of like what Skyward Sword was for the first one, but it's pretty much concept of the whole Zelda, of all the Zelda games, and I thought that was actually really interesting. It's something that they really should have put like maybe Skyward in that at the end, because as I gave my reason for about the first chapter, but it was actually pretty cool, and there was some pretty cool concept art that I thought was pretty interesting. The next one was actually something I didn't really see, and it's a sort of manga based. It's a prelude to Skyward Sword, or a prequel more like. But the thing I was maybe quite annoyed at is, as I know, manga is read sort of backwards, it's read for like the start from here and all the way up to there, right? Because that's like their front and that's like their back. This is read from the front end. So you're reading it through and you get to that point and they say, hang on, you're at the end, so you need to go to the end and read it. I think for it being such a large sort of American based thing, I would have thought they would just, save the hassle and just have it as a normal sort of comic book, or just like any other sort of book. But the fact they didn't, it's, I just don't understand why they couldn't have sort of bothered. But to me, I'm not really that complaining of it, because it actually was a pretty sweet manga, and I'm not going to spoil anything. There's probably a wee spoiler sort of at the end, But what I was also quite like, the colour of some of the pages is actually really nice. It's really, it's actually very interesting, and I can probably see me sort of doodling like some of it. But all in all, would I recommend this to Zelda fans? Of course, every Zelda fan is going to buy it. But I recommend it to Nintendo fans. Yes, Nintendo fans will buy it because it's still part of Nintendo. But what about gamers? A little bit, this is actually, if you are a pure gamer, right, or gamer even, you might buy it just to sort of read up on it. If you're not really, if you're a casual gamer, you're not going to buy it, you're not going to be that interested in it. If you're one of those people that doesn't really play games a lot, no, it's really, it only really falls under like maybe 2.5 categories. If you're a Zelda fan, Nintendo fan, or if you're a really pure gamer. But all in all, this is actually a good read, and I strongly recommend it.